Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Tonight's episode is an excerpt of a previous live stream with the topic being defense against the dark arts. I know that's kind of a play on words, but it's primarily a discussion on how to deal with a narcissistic ex, how to recognize what you're dealing with, how important it is to recognize what you're dealing with, and steps you can take to protect yourself and minimize the evil effects of the dark arts. But before we get into that, I'm Duane, and if you want to learn how to get your life back, break the cycle of abuse, strengthen the relationship with yourself and your kids, start right now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss a thing. So obviously this is a play on words, and I say that because we're dealing with basically somebody who is pretty darn unethical. So we're going to cover this in a couple different things. The main topic for tonight is recognizing what you're dealing with. Catch yourself in the moment so you don't make mistakes, and then focusing on the long game as you're going through this. But the first thing I want to talk about is why this is important. And this is very critical in the beginning stages of this. I recently was talking with somebody who looks to be in the beginning stages, and it made me think about this. This is why this topic came up. And bottom line is, or why this is important, is your actions are super critical. Whatever decision or what you do right now or in that beginning stage defines the future, is going to set the stage for how everything is going to go forward. And if you do not understand that, you will make mistakes. Generally, people not focus on, but there are patterns of behavior that people typically do whenever they're stressed. And if you're in these situations and you are being stressed and provoked, then you can make mistakes. And each and every mistake you make significantly reduces your opportunity for success and achieving your long-term goal, which is not to be destroyed and not to have, if you have children, have your relationship with them destroyed as well. So anyways, so what we're going to do on this is we're going to dive into this. If there's questions after each section, like if you have a question or something you want to hit right now about this topic, do that now, and then we'll move on as we start, this is how we've kind of been doing it lately. And I'm going to, I like Rich says, you need a gumball machine in the back. What? I got a lamp. I got my nice lamp and my nice little tree. What more do I need? So that's pretty funny. I love that. Let's see. Shay was okay. So I will focus on any other question or any other topic after we get through this. GA says, Duane, no reaction. They soon move on to the next act. They just can get more pathetic and desperate. No contact, narc free. Yeah, and that's great. But it's when you're in the beginning parts of this, it's really tough. And I mean, I know I made mistakes. I was very fortunate that I understood a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight. But even with that, I still made mistakes because I understood it in context of my professional career. I didn't necessarily understand it dealing with family court and dealing with somebody who I thought was not going to try to, destroy everything. Okay, so the next thing is what are you dealing with? And this is, I know a lot of us here already understand this, but there could be some people new on this. So I think it's important to go through this, but it's critical to see your ex as the enemy they are. I remember early in this, my father said to me that, now that you're going through this, your ex is the worst enemy that you've ever experienced in your entire life. And I didn't quite understand what he was talking about or what he meant, but I soon did as things progressed. Trusting your narcissistic ex equals putting yourself in danger. And that is really tough because in the early stages of this, oftentimes you don't really see. You're still stuck in the fog, so you don't really understand how effectively evil someone can be. It's also really important to understand their tactics and what they're going to try to do. And we'll get into that in a moment. And bottom line is keeping your focus on the war and not the individual battle. You don't want to be playing checkers. You want to be playing chess. So, sometimes you have to sacrifice a move to win the game overall, and that's critical. All right, so any questions on this? If you guys are ready to move forward, just give me a 1, and if somebody has something, tag me, and I want to hear what you have to say. All right. Oh, it's weird not having my normal headphones. So I have them in a pinch if I don't like these. So I might change back. Okay. So I'm going to run into, I already thought I was going to switch screens on that. So the next thing on this, and what I call this catching the moment. And what's really important about this is being able to recognize what's going on in real time, what's happening. And the main thing on this is recognizing that you're being provoked. Recognize that you're, like GA says, behind enemy lines. You're in a hostile environment, and everything needs to be on heightened alert. And know your mental state. Know where you're at. If you are sick, if you are worn out, if you are tired, if you've worked a double shift, if you are just not at 100%, you need to minimize your interaction. I'm talking about even if you're still married and everything is just in the process of falling apart, you have to know where you're at, recognize that you're in a vulnerable state, and not take that bait, or don't put yourself in that situation. That can be really tough because when you're still with the person, you typically are going to go home. It's one of those things where, but you need to understand this. This is critically important because they will use anything and everything against you. So if they can ascertain that you are sick, worn out, tired, vulnerable to attack, and I don't want this to be paranoid. I don't want this to like cause people to have more of an anxiety attack. But it's one of those things where you need to just think about it, recognize it, and understand it, so that you can stop yourself from reacting or responding negatively. So basically, like the last bullet on this slide right here, stop and do not react. Stop yourself. Go to sleep. Leave. Sleep on the couch. Do whatever. But recognize that you are in a vulnerable state, and that puts you at risk. So, as anyone in here, can anyone relate to this? I'm sure a lot of you have been in this situation where you absolutely have been played. Maybe it's playing out right now. So if you are, and you can relate to this, I just say, Rain says yes, say yes, instead of a 1, because we'll use the ones for the moving on. And Shay says, hit that thumbs up button. It's the DSD cover charge. GA says yes. I Like Grit says, you are speaking the truth. If you are tired or sick, they will push you. I do not know why, but they push. Well, I tell you, you know what? That is a great comment. And the reason they do it is because they know you're vulnerable. Think about it. Most of the time, a lot of times you will be attacked by a narcissistic person, toxic person, when you are sick. I don't know how many times that happened to me. I would either be sick and recovering, and I would get attacked, or I would be very focused on a problem at work. And it's like, they recognize whenever you are not 100%, and they will do that to create drama. Oh, Blue asked a question about college. No, I haven't been court ordered to do that. I was lucky enough not to have that put in the thing. That would have been a catastrophe. Okay, if you guys are ready to move on to the next part, I will do that. Like I said, we're going to run through this kind of quick because I know lately we've been doing this it's been taking a long time, and then it minimizes the rest of the time that we have. John says, very true. I was sick and dying with Lyme disease and was attacked and thrown in court and thrown out of my house. That's exactly what I'm talking about. in that situation, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do, but they will absolutely attack you or do things whenever you are at your most vulnerable. All right, so let me get everything lined up. So the next part on this is playing the long game. Like I mentioned earlier, play chess, not checkers. Again, this is a war, not a battle. You don't have to fight everything. You need to recognize, what your opportunities are for success and to make the best decisions that you possibly can. You don't want to put yourself in a situation to where you're provoked, you make a mistake, you lash out, and it just causes all kinds of extra problems. There's a lot of people on the channel, some of them are here tonight, who fell victim to that. They were provoked, they did something benign, but the ex was able to use that as a checkmate move, if we're talking about checkers, to just destroy them. We oftentimes hand them victories by responding or reacting in the moment under duress, and they are just waiting for it to happen. I've used, I can't remember the movie, but they've even showed it sometimes in movies where someone will be provoked and then they make a mistake and then the other person is like, ha, I'm going to use that against you, so much for custody for you, that type of thing. Think about it. It's that common that people put it in movies. It's like this stuff, it does happen. Realistically, they're going to do everything they can, even if they're making stuff up. You don't want to respond in a way that makes them, or that validates or even puts some validity into the story of what they're trying to say. So, and that goes into the next part, is really ask yourself this: does your actions today, does what you're getting ready to do help you get to your ultimate goal? Is it really going to, it might solve an issue right now, it might lash out right now, but is it really going to help you get to the next part? And then ultimately, you just have to keep yourself safe and minimize your opportunity for making mistakes. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch headphones. So stand by one. Okay. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. That's much better. Thank you for bearing with me on that. All right. So what do you guys think? Are you guys playing the long game? Have you been able to make that pivot and focus on not what's happening in the immediate, not lashing out, not trying to hold them or make them pay for everything they've done? Are you able to focus on what's really your long-term goal? So if you are, I would like to hear yes. If you're struggling with it, say no. If you have a question, please ask it. And then we'll move into the last part of this. And by the way, these headphones sound so much better. Scott says, darn right. GA says, new job and focusing on my future. Yes. Good for you, GA. I see yeses. C Lewis says, playing the long game. Mr. Skull says yes. Tara says yes. Dean says struggling at times. That is completely understandable, Dean, and because this is tough. This is tough. Narcissistic Abuse Rehab says the dark arts. Who can resist a title like that? And think about it, right? I don't know. Obviously, I'm making a play off of Harry Potter, but I think it makes sense, right? And that's kind of a good analogy. These kids in the movie are learning how to progress and learning how to increase their skills to be able to fight, pure evil. And that's kind of what we're doing. That's the game, not game, but that's the situation we've been thrust into. So we have to learn these skills. We have to learn the techniques on how to protect ourselves, how to not respond, how to minimize the damage that they're doing, especially in the beginning, and then even long term. It's this ongoing thing. It's this ongoing issue that we're trying to master. Oh, Dean says, the ex ran away with my children 1,000 miles away, and lawyers and court process is slow. Yes, it is. And we have to be mindful of that and not allow that. See, that's again, that kind of goes in. I'm glad you brought that up, Dean, because oftentimes you get so fixated on the immediate, and that's terrible, right? I mean, that is a freaking, close to a death blow whenever an ex is able to just run away with the kids. But you have to focus on the long game on this. Focus on winning the war, which means you need to make sure you don't make decisions. You need to be strategic about, and tactical in some ways, about what you're doing, right? If they leave, you need to file immediately. You need to get court ongoing. You need to establish, not residency, but jurisdiction for your case where you're at. Because when they go move 1,000 miles, Dean, what they're doing 99% of the time is they're moving to establish residency in this new place 1,000 miles away. And the second that they're a resident, they file for divorce there, and then now you have to go there. So you have to be very careful on that. And that is a common tactic I've seen many times. All right, let's see. I missed some comments. And let's see, I'm just checking, and I'm about ready to move to the final. Actually, I'll just go ahead and move to the final slide on this. And that is, what is the point of this discussion? It's basically a reminder that a narcissist will gaslight and push you to try to provoke you to get you to respond. It's like one of those things where they will sit there and just keep poking at you, poke, until you finally explode. A narcissist will attack you when you're tired, whenever you've been sick, or you're just completely emotionally spent. A narcissist will try to get you to act in the way that they are telling everyone that you are. So if they're saying, "Oh my God," like in my situation, "Oh my God, Duane is such a meanie. He pokes, he just yells and screams and does all these things." And then it's like, poke, and then I explode, and then it's like, see? It's like you need to understand that they're trying to provoke a response, and it's often better whenever you can anticipate what they're trying to do. And bottom line is, they're setting you up to make mistakes. They're trying to set you up to give them a victory, to prove their point, to be able to use that with a custody evaluator. I was talking to an individual earlier, and they were talking about how their ex could be just vicious, and then on a dime, and this is what I was actually mentioning this, on a dime, change into crying and pretend and playing the victim, and I'm so scared, and I'm this and I'm that. And they will do that. They can read these situations so damn quick and pivot on an instant to morph into what they need to propel their story, to propel their narrative. And you have to be aware of that. You have to understand that. And that is really tough when you're at the beginning stages and you still are stuck in the fog. You still don't understand what's going on, and you think that they can't be this bad. They're not going to do that. They wouldn't do that. That's not, no, they would never try to railroad me. They would never try to alienate the kids. That's not who they are. For every moment that we don't recognize exactly what we're dealing with, it's a huge risk. And that, you guys, is tonight's topic, is my defense against the dark arts, is seeing behind the curtain, being able to recognize what they are, what they're doing, so that you can take steps to protect yourself, to make sure that they're not able to push you into a corner to allow them to win. If anybody has seen the Harry Potter movies, there's a section in there where there's one thing where it projects back to you what your deepest fear is. And you have to understand that so you know how to fight it. And that's kind of what this thing is. I hope you enjoyed that discussion and got something out of it. I would love your feedback. Put that in the comments below. And if you have any additional questions that you'd like me to hit, put those in the comments as well. If you think you could benefit from one-on-one coaching, I do offer that, and you can find out more at dadsurvivingdivorce.com/coaching. I'll see you on the next video. Take care.